Welcome to the It Factor. We're Jemmy and Nye exploring a new blog post by Mr. Len Kaplan, CEO of CDML and MSP in Queens, NY, offering network management, VoIP and UCAS, cybersecurity, compliance, IaaS, cloud, and Microsoft 365 and Azure solutions. If you're a small business owner or manage IT for a growing organization, this episode is for you. Today, we're diving deep into a particularly insidious threat gaining momentum in the world of cybercrime. In memory cyberattacks.
Yeah, it's a critical topic, mainly because of how stealthy these attacks really are.
Right.
Mr. Kaplan's article, The Hidden Threat, In Memory Cyberattacks and Why User Training Matters More Than Ever, it really nails why traditional defenses often, fall short, which makes good user training more crucial than ever, especially for small and mid-sized businesses.
Absolutely. So our mission with this deep dive is pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Let's pull out the most vital insights from the hidden threat. We want to help you understand and prepare for these nearly invisible threats. So, okay, let's unpack this. What exactly are these in-memory cyberattacks Mr. Kaplan describes? And I guess, why are they so dangerous for businesses like yours?
Well, what's really fascinating, or maybe scary, is how different they are from, regular malware.
Yeah.
Traditional malware leaves stuff behind. Files, logs on your disk drive, things security tools can scan and find.
Right, evidence.
Exactly. But these in-memory attacks, they operate entirely within the system's RAM, the volatile memory.
So nothing gets written to the hard drive?
Pretty much nothing. Or very, very little. It means they're incredibly hard to find, hard to stop, and almost impossible to investigate afterwards. Like a digital ghost. No footprint left behind.
Wow. That ephemeral nature sounds terrifying if they're just in RAM and they disappear when you reboot. How do you even know you've been hit? Mr. Kaplan's insights highlight that these threats just bypass traditional defenses, your antivirus, maybe your IDS, that intrusion detection system.
Yeah, the standard stuff.
Because they use legitimate tools already on the system, things like PowerShell or WMI.
Precisely. PowerShell, WMI, JavaScript tools that IT folks use every day for legitimate reasons. Attackers just inject malicious code directly into the computer's memory using these trusted tools.
And then you reboot the machine.
And poof, the evidence is gone. Vanished.
Okay.
Which raises that critical question, right? If the evidence disappears, how do you even know you've been breached?
Yeah.
The article, The Hidden Threat, it mentions this really alarming example. A malware campaign they found. It actually used Cloudflare's own infrastructure to hide its command and control traffic.
Wow, Cloudflare, that's legit infrastructure.
Totally legit. And all the bad stuff, all the malicious operations happened entirely in memory. It did its damage and then just disappeared.
So for a small business owner listening, that's a huge problem.
It's a dangerous shift, absolutely.
Right.
By the time you notice something's wrong, maybe data's gone, maybe systems are locked up by ransomware, the trail for figuring out how it happened could be completely cold.
Local trail. That's chilling. How do you recover? How do you stop it happen again if you don't know how it started?
Exactly.
And that leads us, I think, perfectly to the next really big point in the hidden threat, the human element.
Oh, yes.
Because for all the technical trickery, Mr. Kaplan's blog really emphasizes that even with fancy tools and next-gen detection, most of these in-memory attacks, they still start with something familiar, human error.
It's the weak link sometimes, isn't it? Still true in cybersecurity. You see the same entry points, phishing emails, malicious macros hidden in Word docs or Excel files.
Big software updates.
Fake updates, yeah. The usual suspects. But the really scary part with these fileless in-memory attacks is that the user doesn't even have to download a file sometimes. Yeah, a single click on the wrong link in an email or just agreeing to run a script when a website prompts you, that can be enough. That single action can kick off the whole attack chain.
Wow. So one click, one yes to a prompt, and that's it. That's a really low barrier for the bad guys.
It is.
Which makes total sense then why Mr. Kaplan's article hammers this point home. Cybersecurity experts are all saying it now. User training, it's just not optional anymore.
And this really gets to the heart of user behavior, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why is training suddenly non-negotiable? Well, because your employees' actions, their decisions in the moment. That might be the only real chance you have to stop one of these super stealthy attacks before it even gets going.
The first line of defense, or maybe the only line of defense sometimes.
It can be. The stats cited in the hidden threat are pretty stark. Up to 95% of successful breaches involve human error in some way.
95%.
Yep. And that number is likely even higher for smaller businesses, the ones maybe without dedicated IT security teams.
Right, limited resources.
And it's not just about people not knowing. Often it's overconfidence. People think, oh, I'd spot a phishing email a mile off. I wouldn't click that. But these attacks are getting incredibly sophisticated, very deceptive.
That's a really key insight. It's not just ignorance, it's thinking you know better when the threat has evolved. So, okay, what does this all mean for, the small business owner listening right now? How does user training actually fight these stealth attacks effectively? Like Mr. Kaplan suggests in the article, it's obviously got to be more than just a memo saying don't click bad links.
Oh, absolutely. Way more. Good, effective training programs, they do much more than just lecture. They simulate real-world threats. They actively encourage and reinforce safe online behaviors.
Like muscle memory almost.
Kind of, yeah. And maybe most importantly, they help create a culture where it's genuinely okay for an employee to say, hey, this looks weird, or I'm not sure about this email, without feeling stupid or fearing they'll get in trouble.
Fostering that security culture, making it okay to ask.
Exactly. That proactive mindset is huge.
So the hidden threat goes into some detail on the key focus areas for good training, right?
Yeah.
It talks about obviously recognizing those really sneaky phishing emails and social engineering tactics, but also teaching best practices around things like macros and documents, those scripting tools we mentioned.
Yeah, browser prompts. When should you allow something? When shouldn't you?
Right. And just reinforcing good habits generally. Strong passwords, unique ones. Reporting stuff that looks off. And that core idea, just thinking for a second before you click.
And connecting this back to the bigger picture, like why this matters right now, Mr. Kaplan's article makes that connection really clear. We're seeing reports from lots of cybersecurity researchers confirming a definite sharp increase in this memory-only malware. These aren't just theoretical anymore.
These are active campaigns.
Active campaigns right now, specifically targeting SMBs. And they're bypassing a lot of the conventional defenses businesses rely on.
Because the attackers are adapting.
They always do. As security tools get better at spotting the old stuff, the attackers shift tactics. They're focusing more now on manipulating people, the human element, rather than just finding technical flaws.
Using legitimate services to hide.
Yeah, using things like Cloudflare, Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services to host their malicious payloads. It makes the threats look even more credible, harder to block automatically.
Makes perfect sense. Always the path of least resistance, which is why, like the hidden threat says, those old detection methods, looking for file signatures, known bad code, weird disk activity, they just aren't enough anymore on their own.
Not enough.
And you touched on this, but the article stresses something else too. This training can't be a one-off thing, right? Like a single workshop and you're done.
No, absolutely not. That's a key takeaway. Attackers constantly change their techniques, so your training has to be continuous. It needs to evolve.
How do you do that?
Things like regular simulated phishing attacks to test people, tracking how folks are doing, providing feedback, regular refreshers on new threats. It has to be an ongoing process, not a checkbox exercise.
An ongoing battle, really.
Pretty much, yeah, a continuous improvement cycle.
Okay. Now, the hidden threat, In Memory Cyberattacks and Why User Training Matters More Than Ever, also talks about CDML's approach, how they help businesses protect themselves using a layered strategy. These are specific examples from Mr. Kaplan's article, right? Showing how you build up defenses.
Right, and the message there is really important. Today's threats, they need more than just buying some software. You need a smart, multi-layered strategy. It's about stacking different types of defenses.
Gotcha. All right, so CDML's approach, as the article outlines it, it includes things like security awareness training subscriptions.
Yeah, offering those engaging, realistic simulations customized for the business.
Right. And then next-generation threat detection, so endpoint protection tools that do more, like behavior analysis, memory scanning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tools designed specifically to look for the signs of fileless and in-memory threats in real time before they can execute properly.
Okay.
And what else? Scripting and privilege controls. This one's critical.
Locking down PowerShell and things like that.
Yeah, locking down those powerful tools where possible, or at least restricting who can use them and how. Limiting script execution based on roles. It drastically cuts down the chance someone accidentally triggers an attack.
Makes sense. Least privilege.
And also phishing simulation and reporting tools. So regularly testing the team with fake phishing emails, seeing who clicks, and crucially, providing immediate feedback and more training right then. Plus, easy ways for staff to report suspicious emails.
Closing that loop. And finally, the hidden threat mentions full compliance and incident response planning.
Yeah, basically having a plan before something happens. Knowing who to call, having forensic experts ready, having response services lined up if you suspect a breach, especially with in-memory attacks where Like the article says, every second counts because the evidence is volatile.
Yep.
So the big message from that section is, modern threats need more than just tech. They need a smart strategy. You have to prepare your team, not just install more tools for these invisible cyber threats. It's proactive, it's holistic.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this deep dive up. The ultimate takeaway from the hidden threat. In-memory cyberattacks and why user training matters more than ever. It seems pretty stark, but really essential. These in-memory cyberattacks, they really are like a digital ghost. Powerful, dangerous, and almost impossible to trace after the fact. So for you, the small business owner listening, it just highlights this critical need. You have to invest not just in your technology, but really invest in your people.
And maybe that leaves you with a question to think about.
Yeah.
Given how fast these threats change, what tools that you currently trust inside your own organization, what trusted tools could, maybe unwittingly, become the way in for a future in-memory attack if your team isn't constantly vigilant?
That's a great question to ponder. And Mr. Kaplan's final thought in the article really hits home. Training your users to be your first line of defense is no longer just best practice, it's survival strategy. Till next time.